All right, moving on here. DeSantis agenda for president: decriminalizing cannabis. So Ron DeSantis in the past has championed medical marijuana and has been at least somewhat supportive of the medical marijuana industry in his home state. But now these new statements seem to conflict with his previous positions that he's held on medical marijuana. So we got another instance here of Ron DeSantis not really having any moralistic stance to take on anything, and flip-flopping like a damn fish out of water, depending on what he thinks is going to get him. I think that America sees right through this crap. American voters do not like when so obviously, and I'm not really sure what his point is in terms of why he's now against medical marijuana. So it says, Ron DeSantis said legalizing cannabis would the White House in 2024. DeSantis, who did advance rules for medical cannabis use in Florida, said he wouldn't pursue legalization nationally, expressing concerns about more young people accessing weed. The definitive statement from the 2024 candidate for president came after a voter speaking on behalf of injured veterans asked DeSantis to please decriminalize marijuana in 2025 during a campaign event in Augusta, South Carolina on Thursday. I don't think we would do that, DeSantis responded. But what I have done in Florida is we have a medical program through our Constitution that the voters did. Veterans in those situations in Florida are actually allowed access. It's very controversial because obviously there are some people that abuse it and are using it recreationally. Okay, but you're saying that you do support it for veterans to use medical marijuana, but then you say, other people abuse it and use it recreationally. It's like, dude, people that abuse marijuana recreationally are doing it anyways because it's illegal in your state. You know what I mean? The whether or not veterans are accessing legal marijuana, that doesn't necessarily change the fact that people are using and abusing it recreationally. And in fact, it's been, statistics and study after study show that underage use of marijuana, in fact, goes down when it's legalized, because oftentimes the illegal nature of marijuana, especially for young people, can be a factor that increases use because it's seen as doing something that's out there, or doing something that's sticking it to the government and sticking it to the man and sticking it to the legal structure of how drugs are classified. Like I'm a firm believer that making something illegal, especially for kids, it just makes them want to do it more in many instances. So DeSantis argued that cannabis has become more powerful than it used to be, though many proponents of decriminalization say that the drug should also be better regulated and labeled once it's legal in a way similar as alcohol, so that people understand how much they're consuming. Exactly. So yes, it's true that cannabis is more potent than it used to be, but it's safe. The legal market makes it safer to consume it because cannabis that's sold at a dispensary is tested for chemicals, and you can't potentially get something that is laced with other drugs like fentanyl, which is extremely deadly for people. So continuing to be against legalization based on some sort of safety measure it's just flat out not true. And especially based on the fact that you have to be 21 years old and have an ID to purchase marijuana. So in fact, it could be, you know, harder for young people to get it illegally if, you know, the legal market is so good and is so easy to access the legal market. Well, the illegal market money will be brought out of the illegal market to the legal market, meaning that drug dealers who are selling to underage children and are lacing their drugs with fentanyl are going to have a harder time doing exactly just that. As part of his response, the governor touted a schools initiative led by his wife, Florida First Lady Casey DeSantis, that educates children about the consequences of drug use. U.S. policy should be geared toward keeping children clear of drugs, he said, and added that legalization would make the drug more accessible to young people. It's just not true. He's making this false equivalency here of legal marijuana equals more young people using marijuana. Show me any statistics that say that. It's just not true. He's making a false equivalency here to justify his outdated bad policy that most of America disagrees with, as we're going to look at here in a second. And nobody's saying that making legal that marijuana should be sold to children. Okay, nobody's saying that. Nobody's saying it's a good idea for children to smoke marijuana. Nobody that argues for legalization is arguing that. Nobody that I have heard. Okay, maybe point it out to me in the comments down below, but nobody that is a supporter of medical marijuana is a supporter of kids smoking weed. Okay, you have to be 21 in the state of New Mexico to buy marijuana. 21, not 16, not 18, not 19, not 20, 21. The same age that we say it's okay to make a decision on alcohol. So why is weed any different? But part of DeSantis' response to the cannabis question focused on the U.S. opioid epidemic, in which he pointed out that sometimes people think they're using one drug, even illicit cannabis, only to learn often too late it's been laced with deadly fentanyl. Like I was just saying, we have too many people using drugs in this country right now. I think it hurts our workforce readiness. I think it hurts people's ability to prosper in life. No, dude, what hurts people's ability to prosper in life is endless deference to corporate, endless tax cuts for the richest people in the United States, and endless corporate welfare and welfare for the rich, and being against raising the minimum wage, and being against Medicare for all, and being against any policies that are going to help anybody in the United States of America. That's what's hurting our workforce readiness, and that's what's hurting people's ability to prosper in life. People are smoking weed because Republicans have crushed people into becoming wage slaves, okay? And that weed helps people get through day to day. It's got nothing to do with weeds hurting people's ability to prosper in life. Bullshit. Yeah, bullshit. Let's see. Just kind of skimming this here real quick. So it says here, Florida voters passed a constitutional amendment in 2016 that legalized cannabis for medical reasons. The amendment had support of more than 70% of voters. Soon after becoming governor in 2019, DeSantis successfully convinced the legislature to lift the state ban on the smokable form of the drug, a movement to help the ballot initiative go into effect, and one that stunned the political class. As a U.S. Congressman, DeSantis voted in favor of a spending bill amendments to protect state cannabis programs from federal interference. But the governor, who is also a Navy vet, voted against legislation that would allow doctors to recommend cannabis to patients. So he wants to have it both ways. He wants to go, look, I'm cool. I'm the cool weed guy. I've pushed for it. But not the children. We don't want the children smoking it. The children smoking the weed is bad for our country. Dude, no one's saying that that children should be smoking weed, bro. Nobody's saying that. Okay, so and just to rebut his original point that it's medical marijuana is controversial. Legal ability to smoke a plant that grows out of the ground. Okay, it's not controversial at all, as we'll look at the Pew Research Center here. So this is a little bit outdated data here. Excuse me for not being able to find anything more recent, but November 2022, not bad, about 6 months ago. Americans overwhelmingly say marijuana should be legal for medical or recreational use. With a growing number of states authorizing the use of marijuana, the public continues to broadly favor legalization of the drug for medical and recreational purposes. An overwhelming share of U.S. adults, 88%, say that marijuana should be legal for medical and recreational use by adults. 59% that it should be legal for medical use only. 30%, just 1 in 10% say marijuana should not be legal, according to a Pew Research Center survey conducted on October 10th to the 16th of 2022. So look here, 59%, what they're saying, for medical and recreational use. Only 30% for medical use only. So even among Republicans, they support recreational marijuana use. And if you look down here, look at the Republican numbers. We got 45% of Republicans saying that legal and medical use should be legal. Recreational and medical use should be legal, according to 45% of Republicans in this poll. And generally, you have a much larger number of Republicans saying that it should be legal medically. So to say it's controversial is a big stretch, okay? Among some of the most hardline, like, Republican voters in the country, it might be somewhat controversial. But if DeSantis is making a States of America, okay, you have to appeal to people from sea to shining sea. Okay, from people in Hawaii to Alaska to Florida to New York to California to Michigan to Texas. You have to appeal to everybody. And just from a political standpoint, I'm not really sure what he's getting at here to benefit him politically, because you'd be better off pitching policy that appeals to the broader number of people. And even if there is some controversy amongst the furthest people on the right as to whether or not weed should be legal, dude, they're already supporting either Trump or you or whatever. That's not going to win you the election, just that 35%, when you have the rest of the 65% of the country that has very different views on the issue and is going to vote accordingly. So why not tap into the 65% versus the 35%? You know, 65 is a bigger number than 35. There's more potential voters to gain in the 65% than there is in the 35%, just statistically. So, you know, it's just bad policy. It's bad political strategy. It's bad stuff from Ron DeSantis here. And, you know, I'm not really sure who he's thinking that he's winning over, or that, you know, he thinks that this is benefiting him politically to say that he's against legalization of marijuana in a larger way than just medical. It's not benefiting him. It's not benefiting you, dude. Just like, either don't say anything about it or support legalization, because that's what Americans overwhelmingly support.